In this video, we will learn about the row count transformation of SSIS, the SQL Server Integration Services. This is a very simple transformation, but very useful. You can capture the rows that are flowing through a data flow and then store it in a variable and maybe log into a table. Later on, you can reconcile the number of rows from a file that were loaded into certain table. So this is what we'll see in using an example in this video. Um, it is very useful and not really very hard to implement. So let's get started. I have created a project called row count in SQL Server Data Tool. It is an integration services project and a blank package that gets created by default. So as usual, we'll create a connection to our database, which is Happy Burger, always happy. So OLADB, it's already there. Let's change the name. By the way, I always create a project level connection in case I need to add more packages. The same connection to the database can be used because in my videos I use the same database. Now the second connection will be to a file which is here is a hospital data file. Is not very small, but it's not very big either. So we'll upload the data into a new table. There is no destination table in our database. So let's just configure our package. So very first thing, I will have a data flow task. Double clicking it, we get to configure this. First, let's create a source, which is going to be a flat file. Let's call it hospital file connection. Browse and choose that file, and let's take a look at the data. Automatically detected is column delimiter comma and column sizes. I guess we can change a couple of them. For example, address and maybe hospital owner, address, and hospital name. These columns look pretty big, so hospital name, address, and hospital owner. These three column will make, let's say, 150 character, and everything else is is what the SSIS decided by default, which is like the 50 characters. I think everything else will fit in that range. So we finish configuring our flat file source. Let's just give it a meaningful name. Now we will be configuring a destination to a new table. Happy Burger database, SQL Server, put it here. And we are going to create a table and let's call it hospital. The staging part is the schema. We have a schema in our database which is called staging. This table we'll create in that. Double clicking it, we see that the only database connection has already been selected. Let's click new and change the things. We get some of the work already done for us. The way I chose the task name hospital. So this is pretty much what we need, and no further modification to this SQL statement is needed. So click OK. Mapping is just go in here. Most of the time the column name are the same, so they will automatically map. Click OK. So if we run this package, this data flow task will run, and data from hospital will go to the staging hospital table, which has been created by uh, uh, the SSIS. So if we go and see it here, it is here. Columns that we created, but there is no data in there yet because we have not executed the package. So let's see. In order to capture the row count, let's disconnect this first and put a row count transform in between this here. So let's do this and this, and let's create a new variable. Call it row count. It is integer data type, so everything is good. So double click this and choose that variable where you want to capture and store the number of rows that pass through this data flow. So now we are good, and if we take a look, the mapping is still there. So we are good to go, and we capture this count of rows into this variable. Now what I want to do is, there are two ways. We can log this row count into a table. For example, I have a table here, file rows count, that I can log into that by using a SQL statement. Execute SQL task, and writing an insert statement to execute. If you are not familiar with Execute SQL Task, I have a previous video which I created and demonstrated with more than one examples how to use that Execute SQL Task. So we can do that here and log this entry in our database table. So that will happen after the data flow task is finished executing, and we know that we have captured the value of row count into this variable. So let's go here and change the name log row count. Okay, so double click this and we choose the database connection where our table is. Direct input, yes. So let's click this ellipsis, and I do have the statement written here. Now you notice these question marks. These are the 5 values we'll pass using a parameter. So that is why we do this in the execute SQL task. So I put this here, and just keep in mind that source data location is the first parameter, which will have the index of 0 because it's a 0 based. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, source location, destination, row count, and comments and date time. So for comments, we can put, which is the second from the bottom. So instead of comment passing through the parameter, let's just say within the single quote, just like you would do in any T-SQL insert statement. So let's say hospital file upload, and then the comma. So that parameter is given as a literal value here, so we'll not pass that through. we still have to pass 0, 1, 2, and 3. We'll be able to see that from our other window when we are passing the parameters. So, but this is your insert statement. Click OK. Let's go to the parameter mapping. So first parameter was the, sorry, let's go back to this statement, and we can give the source data location also here, which was the hospital.txt file. Since this is an example more for row count, I am not showing other ways that we do usually. These files are loaded through a loop, and the file name is captured in a variable. We pass that variable as the source location, for example. Now destination, we know that it is a table called staging hospitals. This is the table name, and then row count we cannot determine until we run this package, and also the process date time. So we only have two parameters to give now. The indexes will be 0 and 1. So the 0 will be the row count and 1 will be the process date time. Click OK, and we go back here, add a parameter, and the first parameter was the row count. So let's get our variable. We know it's a numeric data type, and 0, and then add another, and that is the process date time. So I always capture the container start time, and we know it's a date time data type, and the index is 1. So we are all set to go. This will log an entry into the file row count table after the data flow has run, obviously. So let's take a look here. Select star from staging hospital, and select star from staging file row count. They both hospitals. Huh. Hospital, I guess there is no S. So yes, both of these tables, the log table and the hospital table, which is the destination, they both are blank. So let's go and start our package. I don't know how many rows are going to be loaded, but this will be captured here. So let's run this. Okay, I guess it was not that big a file again. Let's see what we have in our table. Yes, this table has a lot of rows, 4,000 some rows, and we can see that file, the variable captured is 4,832, which is the same as row count in here. So our package was successfully executed. The row count transform that we wanted to explore have successfully been tested here, and we now know. I hope you learned something from this and which you can use, and I appreciate you watching my video. Please do subscribe to the channel, and I will try to keep producing the videos that are useful. Thank you.